Amandla Zululeti, Amandla Tungulu, Amandla Mkhanyakude, Amandla Thukela, Amandla Lambeni, Amandla Mathuba, Amandla Gwini, Amandla Ndlovini, Amandla Gauteng, Amandla Mpumalanga, Amandla Western Cape, Amandla Free State, Amandla my comrades, Amandla, Amandla my comrades, Amandla, Ubani umholi, Ubani umholi, sihole, 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 weshenge siyaya bo, siyaya, oh siyaya. Weshenge siyaya bo, oh siyaya, oh siyaya. Noma bese tubona, bese shaya, bese
Uxolo amandla, uxolo kancane, amandla. Siyacela laba bakwi-channel ongena abadlali bangene ngapha mashinyane. Sicela bavule bangene mashinyane silinyazwa isikhathi. Nalezi insizwa leziya eingenayo bengicela insizwa mina ziye lapha naphezulu. Ngiyacela impela bangene mashinyane laba bangena kuleli hangeli ngapha. Siyacela nisingene ngokusheshsha bakwethu isikhathi sesiyasilimaza. Le gate nemagate lapho nongena khona kuma turnstiles ngiyacela ukuthi abantu bavulelwe bangene ngokusheshsha. Siyacela insizwa nizedlulise.
My comrades, ngiyacela impela egate abantu abangene babesikela ngapha. Nidedele insizwa idlule.
Sicela futhi lapha nemagate nokumatenside. Akesime kancane nje nomuntu. Ake sicele kancane umnyuzisi ke sihlela abantu kuqala. Ake sicele kancane nje umusic esihlela abantu. Lapha nakuma turnstile makusekhona abantu abangenayo sicela basheshise ngoba sesizoqala manje. Sesizoqala manje bese kuthi insizwa azime ukuyaluza manje ngapha. Azime ukuyaluza, azime khona lapha ezikhona. Azime khona lapha ezikhona ihlale phansi makuya ngokuthi kuyabalungela lokho. Abangene abanye abangene khona la kuze kugcwale leli hanga. Le move kuma turnstiles Asibavulela abantu bangene. Ngiyakhala ke ngalezi ahlale ingapha kwesokunxele sami. Izihlalo ezisokunxele sami ngiyaqonda ukuthi ilanga liyashisa kodwa kusemqoko ukuthi sigcwalise sihle phansi. Abangene abase ngaphandle ngoba sizoqala manje. Kahle kulungile kahle baba. Uyangiphazamisa. Abangena abantu abase ngaphandle kuma 10 styles. Abantu abase kuma 10 styles abangena.
Abeslalela abaholike sebezosethulela nobuhlelo lethu. Wonke umuntu akame la khona athula vula indlebe avala umlomo. Ngiyabonga Danke. Siyathokoza ke comrade uMagudwa. Ma comrades siyacela bakithi egate ungena ngene kusheshe ligcwalise lapha ikhale ezingaphambili sinokuqala uhlelo lwethu kungabibikho siyakhala kakhulu ngalabakhozi ahlezi ngapha kade ngiyikhulumile indaba yawo. Siyacela ukuthi kuningabe nisaphuma ama comrades neniphumayo. ningaphumi ngenani ngaphakathi. Siyacela ama comrades ningaphumi ngenani ngaphakathi. Kuyacela kungabi khona umuntu ongemuva. Ela ama-marshals ezazongibona. Ama-marshals ezazongibona. Bese ba-comrades abangaphandle bangene ngaphakathi.
Viva! IFP, viva! Yeah, Pitlo! Washebeleza, washebele, awuyaze yeni kata. Washebeleza, washebeleza, awuyaze yeni kata.
Just talk. Oh, okay. Hello? Just talk. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, anyway. Yeah. It's incredibly hot. Yes? Hello? Yes, Sabo? Yes. Angikuza ungaphakamisa kancane. Yes. Okay, yes, yes, yes. Yes, I can. Okay, thank you. Okay. That it's incredibly hot out here. Oh, I'm dying in this jacket. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, Tamo. Elvis President. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. It will come through to me. Okay. I can leave. I'm standing in the Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. No, that's fine. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay then.
Viva Youth Brigade, viva. Viva Mata Freedom Party, viva. Viva IFP, viva. Viva Women's Brigade, viva. Viva Men's Structure, viva. Viva Shenge Viva. Viva complete Viva. Amazing. My God, Johnny Natarai Gomegi. My God, Gomegi. My God, Johnny Natarai Gomegi. My God, Gomegi. My God,
they couldn't get. Oh, but he's the. They can hear me. Yes, I can. They couldn't get Umngango. They couldn't get Albert Umngango. Oh, okay. Okay. Yes. Yes, I can hear. I'm fine, thank you. Fine. Oh, Elvis. Oh, yes, it is. Hi, Elvis. Hi. Oh, aside from the heat, we're trying to. Tabo? So Elvis is going to link with me still, and then I'm going to do my intro and then speak to Umam Ngom, Sbongile Ngom, okay. And then you cue me from there what I do next. Yes, how you do? Engathi kanjalo bhuti wami. Engathi kukanjalo phela. And the guest up. What do you mean fine? Huh? And then take it back to Elvis. Good afternoon to you, Elvis. Yeah, indeed, we are here at the King's Wellington Stadium at Mlazi for the IFP's 2014 election manifesto. And I'm sure, as you can see behind me, thousands of IFP supporters have already started converging here at the stadium. And I don't know if you can see behind me, we are still seeing more supporters coming through. The grandstand just right in front of me is already packed. Because of the heat, unfortunately today, Elvis, some of the supporters here have resolved to try and find some shade up there in the trees and on the banks. But as we can see, more on the ground here that we can see just in front of the stage or the podium, thousands of IFP supporters are coming through. And I don't know if just recently you saw, and just in those shots, we also saw the Amabutu also making their way into the stadium. I also understand that outside the stadium, hundreds more are trying to, are making their way into the stadium. The excitement at the moment, it's song and dance, IFP supporters very excited to be here, eagerly awaiting the address by the President, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, when he delivers his party's 2014 election manifesto. I do not know whether he has arrived at the stadium yet, but I do not think so. I think we are still awaiting the arrival of Inkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi to come through to the stadium. And if I could just make quickly before going into some of what we can expect. It's a very brief program. We're going to get messages of support from the Youth Brigade and also a message of support from the Women's Brigade. After that, it will just be a short-term address, and we will then, of course, hear that message of support from the IFP President. Now, of course, today's manifesto, Elvis, comes at a time when the party has been facing turbulent times. It has been losing ground as a political force since 1994. And if we can just recap and go back to that, the IFP obtained 10.54% of the national vote. We fast forward to 2009, the national elections, where they managed to get 4.55% of the vote, which gave them 18 seats. Again, in the 2011 local government elections, we again saw the party losing some ground. Its supporters were dwindling, and of course that was largely as a result of the splinter when the then national chairperson of the IFP broke away from the party to go form her own party, the National Freedom Party. That is when we saw the IFP take a knock again, and that was during the 2011 national government elections. Thereafter again, we saw the party lose some of its strongholds, mainly here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. But in recent months and in the build-up to today's manifesto, we've seen or heard from party leaders saying that they've been working tirelessly to gain lost ground, not only focusing on their strongholds, but also focusing on other areas within the province of KwaZulu-Natal. The party has also been going out and campaigning in other provinces. Just recently we chatted to Nkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi, where he spoke about how they've been doing in Mpumalanga. There were delegations was also going to be going to the Eastern Cape, Limpopo or Northwest. So they have been going out campaigning in other provinces, but they've really been focusing their efforts on KZN, focusing their efforts on the strongholds here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Today, it's an extremely important day for the IFP. The party has called for improved service delivery and an effective approach in dealing with unemployment, crime and education. The party president is expected to outline their proposed strategies in addressing the country's challenges. So from the manifesto today, they will provide tangible solutions to some of the issues that the party has raised for them to regain the confidence of its supporters and the electorate. But now just to tell us more about what we can expect from the manifesto, I am joined by Mams Mongile Gomo and IFP leaders, and we're going to just chat to her briefly now.
Thank you very much, Ayanda. We are actually celebrating, today is a celebration. It's where we are actually launching our blueprint, which is the manifesto of the IFP. Our president is going to be here in a few minutes. Many people are here. It's not only IFP people, it's IFP people, it's observers, it's the people of South Africa, it's the people that we've been talking to, actually trying to solicit exactly what they would like us to do for them. Because we went out on a speaking or a listening campaign where we're speaking to the people and they were talking to us, ensuring that they give us certain areas which they wanted us to bring up in our manifesto. Our manifesto is looking at a few issues which are quite critical to South Africans, namely unemployment, corruption, health, crime, the issue of land, and many other issues. It is important for us as the IFP to actually take into consideration what the people have said as we move forward with our manifesto. You will find that most of the manifestos from other political parties may have the same things, but the issue is how do we actually address those matters. So we will be addressing the matters in a different way as the IFP so that the people of South Africa are actually taken care of. It's a very important day, it's a sunny day, it's a beautiful day, and we are here to launch our blueprint, the manifesto of the IFP.
Also, the service delivery, and I'm just looking through the manifesto, and that is point number one. How does the party aim to address the issue of service delivery, which I know the president has raised on a number of occasions? Also, of course, looking at the situation in our country, we've seen a number of service delivery protests across the country.
Well, let me start with the service delivery protests. Service delivery protests have happened right throughout our country, and it's mostly in municipalities that are run by the ANC, meaning that a lot of the services which were supposed to be done for the people of South Africa have not been done by the ANC. And that is what the people of South Africa have been talking about. We are worried about a lot of the service delivery protests because most of the people are saying they will not vote. And we have been saying to them, and we are still saying to them, go out and outvote the very people that have not delivered. do not stay back with your vote, because if you stay back with your vote, you are actually saying to the people that have not delivered, go on doing the same thing. So with service delivery, we are extremely passionate about it as the IFP. The president of the IFP has always spoken about service delivery and how important it is. He has actually spoken about delivery, and more delivery. So that is a component that is very important to us.
And also rural development, a large number of, the strongholds, zeqembu le-IFP basey'ndaweni zasemakhaya. Mhlampe ke ekutheni ukuthuthukiswa indawo zasemakhaya ngoba eziningi sasalele ekutheni sithole lezo yidingo. Sikhuluma lana ngamanzi, sikhuluma ngogesi, sikhuluma ngey'nqalasizinda, amabhriji, abanye sithole kwezinye indawo namanje iy'ngane zesikole zisawela imfula ukuze ikwazi ukuthi ifike ey'koleni. Ngabe ke lapho iqembu ke lithi nifisa ukuthi nilungise kanjani indaba yokuletha intuthuko endaweni zasemakhaya?
It is quite an embarrassment that 20 years into democracy sisabona abantu basemakhaya behlupheka ngendlela behlupheka ngayo. Lapho esathola nabantu besifazane abanye behamba beyokha amanzi endaweni eyikude, abanye baze balimale, baze balunywe yinyoka behambe endaweni eyikude. Iy'ngane zethu sithola ukuthi ezinye zeqa ey'ndaweni lapho kungahambeki nakhona ngamabhriji angekho. Thina-ke siyinkatha sithi ikakhulu amakhansela ethu enze ipledge, kusho ukuthi isethembiso nabantu bethembisa ukuthi bazomamela wonke umuntu benze izinto ey'shiwo abantu. Kulihlazo kakhulu ukuthi kugamiswe u-20 years kodwa sibona abantu bakithi besenhluphekweni ey'ngaka.
Just behind me, I'm also noticing a lot of young people. The party indeed has also got significant numbers of young people. We know the challenges that are facing young people on issues of education, higher learning, also issue of unemployment. Those are the other challenges that I'm sure the party has raised. And how are you going to try and deal with that? And also, looking at that, the electorate, a number of young people have registered to vote for the first time. You need to hook those young people to come, hopefully vote for the IFP in the upcoming election.
Definitely. We've spoken to especially our young people's campaign, which is led by the IFP Youth Brigade. We've spoken to young people. We've actually spoken to the Born Free. We've said to our young people, please come out and vote. As we're going forward with our listening campaign, we've actually asked them again and again and again for them to come out and actually vote for the IFP and ensure that issues are addressed.
I'm going to ask that you don't leave. Just stand by with me for a moment. But as we can see, the IFP president Nkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi is making his way into the stadium. I don't know if you can hear me anymore, the sound of the vuvuzelas, the excitement, the cheers, as he is making his way now into the stadium. We are seeing him greeting his supporters who have just flocked to the cars, and they are greeting, really excited to see the leader or the president of the IFP, Nkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi, as he makes his way into King's Welithini Stadium. And in just a few minutes from now, he will be making his address. He will be delivering the party's 2014 election manifesto.
Cela umama Omega eze ngaphambili neprogram. Cela umama Omega asinikeze iprogram mayekhona. Amandla izwe kulaba abanetulo ayihlale phansi ibambe umthetho ayihlale phansi ethula umsindo hlala phansi thola umsindo hlala phansi thola umsindo ngaphandle kokuchitha isikhathi bo comrade sengizocela ukuba ubaba umfundisi udokotela uDonda azosivulela ngomkhuleko ukuze umsebenzi wethu usheshe ukhathuleke phambili amandla
Ngiyanibingelela nonke egameni elihle lenkosi yethu Jesu Kristu. Ngibingelele kakhulu ubaba uShenge kanye nalabo asebenza nabo nabafowethu bonke abaku IFP abahlonipha ubuholi bukaShenge. Ngibongileke uba nami ngibe khona ngizothandaza kanye nani ngoba siyathandaza imihla ngemihla. Mhlawumbe abanye sebeyazi ukuthi thina inkonzo yethu njalo siyaguqa sikhulekele laba abasiholayo ukuze basihole kahle ukuze sibahloniphe kahle nathi. Ngingakathandazi nje ngizawuthinta emazwini amancane aseBhayibhelini esiwajwayeleyo asho nguDavida othi uJehova ungumalusi wami angikwesaba lutho. The Lord is my shepherd and I shall not fear. Kukhona into enkulu ngicela ukunilalele kancane bahlobo bami. Ngakhula ngelusa izinkomo. Kwakukhona insizwa ukuthi ugwejo bomvu njengentolwana. Yayithi mayibona abantu ibe isuse uchuku uze wethembe sengathi izokulwa. Kanti mase beshaya abantu kuzobaleka wona kuqala. Lamazwi engiwagodisha ngakathandazi ukuthi uDavid uthi uJehova ungumalusi wami angikwesaba muntu. Kungadabukisa bafowethu esikhathini esibi kangaka lapho izwe singazi ukuthi libheke phi, lapho kungathi sihlangene sinje ubona abanye abantu bebangumsindo bengafuni ukuzwa into ezokwenziwa nendlela ezobekwa. Ngiyathandaza egameni lenkosi kuba wonke umuntu olapha abe lapha nengqondo yakhe, ngoba kuyenzeka umuntu ahlale la kanti ingqondo yakhe iyandiza isipoki ihamba kuwonke amawa. uthi uDavide uJehova umalusi wami angikwesaba lutho kukhona ukwesaba emhlabeni njengoba nila nje njenge IFP kukhona abanye abangamagwala kukhona abanye abanesibindi indaba yesibindi into ebaluleke ngendlela emangalisayo and ukwesaba kubi uhlupha ngoba umuntu ungambona eswenkile efake izibhamu kodwa mawuqhamuka impa baleke bangaki asebebalekile ekade behamba nani ngenxa yokwesaba ukwesaba into embi ibonakala umuhle zethu nomuntu wesabayo iyaziveza ungezwe ukukhala indweba khona lapha eseshawa lovalo noma ubonze kuphuma izinyembezi esebaleka ukwesaba kuyaziveza ngiyacela ekuseni namhlanje njengoba sizothandaza ngize njengomfundisi woxolo ngize njengomfundisi on supporta ngendlela emangalisayo ukuba senze izinto ezilungileyo lithi izwi lenkosi abathandazeli laba babusayo sibahloniphe ngesikhathi zonke uma uDavide ethi ke angikwesaba lutho ngiyacela ke ngibuze kuwe ukuthi wesabani ngoba uNkulunkulu uphambi kwakho ungesabi lutho abantu abesabayo bayahlupha bagcina sebefile izinhlebi nabantu abaxabanisayo abantu abesabayo abangakwazi ukuyithola into njengoba injalo ngiyakholwa ukuthi nonke nize kulombuthano omkhulu kangaka uba sizothola injongo yokuthi kuyiwapi kwenziwani ngakho ke akangabibikho owesabayo there should be nobody here who is afraid of anything ngoba uNkulunkulu uthi uDavide ngesabani ngoba wena Jehova uyisiphephelo sami ngizothandaza ke bathandekayo bethu enkosini uma uzela wesaba abanye abantu besaba ngoba abazange bakhethwe abanye besaba ngobe bazicabangela kabi uma ufuna isikhundla siyasetshenzelwa isikhundla uma ufuna ukuduma dumisa abantu abangaphambi kwakho ungabehlisi kancane ungabenzeli phansi abantu uma ufuna uba uphakame nawe umuntu ophakamayo ngohlonipha abantu ophakamisa abantu nawe uyophakanyiswa kusasa uyoba njengalaba waholayo siyathandaza ke kuleli qembu leIFP ukuthi uNkulunkulu enze ummangaliso God must make a miracle he must raise up young people abazohlonipha abantu abazomthanda uNkulunkulu ngiyasho ngithi uNkulunkulu makenze ummangaliso namhlanje we have closed our churches to come and pay this great tribute kubantu bonke bakithi ukuthi uNkulunkulu usibizele ukuba sizobona into entsha namhlanje engasayenze uNkulunkulu ngani lento bantu abasha bantu abadala if we can change lendlela kade siyiyo sibuke izwe ukuthi limi kanjani izwe umuntu ongakaliboni izwe ukuthi lihlephukile akazi lutho namhlanje ngakho ke siyathandaza ke ngizela nje uba ngizokuthi Nkosi busisa abantwana bakho asithandaza Baba wethu othandekayo isenkosi yethu Jesu Kristu siyathandaza ekuseni ukuba ususe uvalo kubantwana bakho kusukela namhlanje baneze isibindi esazasukuma umholi wethu abeke amazwi okusiqinisa amadolo benze Nkosi bafutheke ngokuthanda ukuya phambili nciphisa inzondo nciphisa udlame nciphisa ukwenyanyana kodwa yenza Nkosi ukuba leli qembu lithandane libuthane libe umuntu umunye busisa ubaba umholi ubaba uShenge osuhambe naye iminyaka eminingi kanye nalabo Nkosi asebesele abayimbijana sibonga ukuthi ubanikeze isibindi sokuma nendoda enesibindi nathi Nkosi ithemba lethu likubo ngoba wena uNkulunkulu awuzange wehlukana nababusi uyabahlonipha ababusi abathembekileyo uyabahlonipha ababusi abathembeke ngisho nakusezimalini nakuzo zonke izinto sithi ke namhlanje kuseni yiba naye sizawungena esihlahlele indlela ube nezindlebe zethu zisuke iziqonoqono sizwe lokho okukhulumayo sihambe sibabaza sithi ukhulumile umuntu kaThixo namhlanje wakhuluma kuMoses wena wathi makaye eGibhithe eyokhulula abantwana bakwaIsrael wakhuluma nakuye uShenge wathi makazokwenza lo msebenzi awenzayo wayeyedwa Nkosi ukhuluma naye uma sesibaningi kuba khona ukwesaba nokuxabana sibonge konke lokhu ngegama elihle lenkosi yethu Jesu Kristu kuze kube phakade amen
amandla ubani umholi sihole bakomrade nonke niyazi ukuthi sihlangene la namhlanje ngobuningi bethu njoba singamashumi ey'nkulungwane sihlangene kanje ukuba sizokwethula usomqulu wethu imanifesto yokuba sitshene umhlaba wonke ukuthi inkatha isikulungele ukuthi makufika ukhetho sithathe izintambo zombuso ngoba inkatha kuphela enesu lokuthi inkinga ebhekene nalelizwe zizocazululwa kanjani. Ngaphandle kokukanta kakhulu ngiyacela ukuba ngibize ngaphambili umhlonishwa isekela likaMengameli ubali zosemukela. Sheng.
Thank you very much, Program Directors Bangazita and all Mr. Singh. In the interest of time, allow me to observe the protocol. Program Director, it's an honor for me to stand here before you today to welcome you, comrades, brothers and sisters, and fellow citizens to 2014 National Manifesto launch of Inkatha Freedom Party. In the next 10 weeks that lies ahead of us, before we go to vote again, the IFP will be listening to you, talking to you, and working with you to ensure that the 2014 is a moment of change for our country. The power to do that is yours, and it lies in your hands. IFP people are not people who just complain, even when there is a lot of things to complain about. Even with the rising cost of living, high unemployment, and poor service delivery from the current government, IFP people do not just complain. They talk about possibilities. They talk about possibility to change the country, a possibility to set the country back on the right course. And they have hope based not on anything they see in the government, but based on what they've seen in the IFP. Inkatha bafowethu izobambizandla kunye nani isebenze kunye nani njengabantu bentando enhle ukuqinisekisa ukuthi izwe lethu liyahlengeka engozini elibhekene nayo. IFP is determined to work with you hand in hand and is determined to work with you people of goodwill. Wherever we are, in our neighborhoods, in our fields, on the roads, at church and at the soccer matches, when we get talking about hope for our country, the people listen. In this way, IFP people make a difference. We let our suffering fellow citizens know that there is still leadership of integrity in South Africa. We let our people know that there is still honest leadership who live to serve. There are still politicians who put the interests of people first. There are still public representatives who know how to manage municipal finances and to make service delivery work. And those leaders are in the IFP. The government of the day is letting us down severely. Putting our power in their hands on the 7th of May will be a disaster. But there is a party worth voting for, a party of hope, a party of goodwill, a party of integrity, a party that offers honest leadership, and that party is the IFP. The IFP puts people first. In the next 10 weeks, we need to work together to promote the IFP because the IFP is the hope of our nation. I ask all of you, as I welcome you, to join hands with the IFP. Together, let us change the South Africa, and together, let us make South Africa the better country for everyone who lives in it. The power to do this is yours. I welcome you all. Amandla!
Thank you so much, the Honorable Deputy President. I now call upon the leader of the Youth Brigade, Mr. Mkhuleko Hlengwa, to actually give us a message of support from the Youth Brigade of the IFP.
Thank you very much, Program Directors, His Excellency the President, and fellow South Africans. Amandla! Amandla! I rise to tell South Africans that the IFP Youth Brigade supports this manifesto. Out of this manifesto, the youth are going to get jobs. Out of this manifesto, we're going to fight corruption. Out of this manifesto, we are going to get a youth ministry. Everybody is represented, but the youth is left outside. But the IFP is saying the youth must come inside. On the 7th of May, we must vote out this sorry excuse of a government. We must vote out these failures and elect a leadership of integrity. Elect a leadership that will work. It is up to us, the youth, to make that a reality in our lifetime. The power is ours. It begins here, it begins now, it begins with you. We have two paths, either to continue on the path of failure or to find a new path of change, a path which will make our lives better. We have heard the promises since 1994. We have heard the stories, and it's not good stories. Well, moving forward, only the IFP is ready and capable to make the lives of young people better. The Youth Brigade will demand from the IFP government not less than 1 million jobs every year. But hey, comrades, with this manifesto, that is possible. And with the leader that we have, that is going to happen. So, ngomhlaka 7 kuMay, siyokhipha izahluleki, sifake uhulumeni ozosebenza, ngoba siyintsha seNingizimu Afrika, sesikhathele ukuphila phansi kwengcindezi, i-IFP kuphela eyokhulula abantu. Shenge, i-youth yase-South Africa ithi ikhulule, iyawufuna umnyango, iyayifuna imisebenzi, seyithembe wena wedwa ukuba wenze lokho. Viva IFP, viva! Viva IFP, viva! Amandla!
Thank you very much, Comrade Mkhuleko Hlengwa, for your moving message. Everybody knows that women actually constitute 54% of the population of South Africa. And it is therefore an honor for all of us to receive a message from the IFP Women's Brigade. Amanda!
Thank you, Program Director. Our Honorable President present here, members of the NEC, members of the National Council, Amakosi present, comrades all, listen to the voice of the South African women, the really South African women, because the Women's Brigade is here declaring war to South Africans, that women of South Africa are not having a safe place, as there is crime, there is rape, there is killing all over South Africa. Then we are saying, if you vote IFP, you are putting to an end to the rape. You are putting to an end to the corruption, and you are putting an end to the victims of killings. Githi thina abesifazane base South Africa nabesifazane be IFP baphume bakhala umkhankaso bathi akube khona ungqongqoshe obhekela izindaba zabantu besifazane nezingane. Hayi uyadlala sibona ithoyisi. Uma ningavoteli IFP singayishintsha South Africa. But we are saying the power is yours. Your acts next to the IFP will make a change. When we go out doing door-to-door campaign, we find widows crying, complaining about the tax, about the rates. We are saying widows must be taken care of. They must be respected because they are part of South Africa. They are part of the highest percentage of the people living in South Africa. We are saying if we as IFP women can be given a chance, we can reduce the tax and the rates for women. Ngoba bayahlupheka kulona icala ukuthi bashiywa ngabakhwenyane babo bahlale ezindlini ezinhle. Akufanele sisebenzise ukushonelwa kwabo ukuthi sibaxoshe emadolobheni sithi abaye emakhaya. Bangabakabani labantu. Sithi as IFP women ndabezitha, we have been giving a chance, an open chance where women have been allowed to in the list as previously, but we have seen women in the list. But the women who are in the list are the women with good leadership, women with integrity, women that are going to make a difference. We know, Ndabezitha, that you championed the co-ops, you championed the issue of unemployment, you championed the issue of self-help and self-reliance. As women of the IFP, we are saying, give us a chance. We are going to do wonders. Siyakwazi Ndabezitha, neqembu lenkatha nabantu besifazane bekhanda imfela ndawonye siyibonile iphilisa abantu. As IFP women, we know exactly that we are going to support the manifesto. We are going to do door to door. We are going to rally women. We are going to rally our youngsters, the youth. We are going to rally the born frees, because we know that women constitute the highest percentage in South Africa. Then if you, South Africans, can give the IFP a chance, you can see a difference. Therefore, the power is yours. And let us use the power now, not tomorrow, because on the 7th is the war, and we are there for the war. I thank you.
Thank you so much, the chairperson of the Women's Brigade of the IFP. We are now going to have a very short musical rendition. Iculo lethu lokuloku khankasa sesizoliphiwa utadewethu uAliko. Ilona culo lethu kelele sizonqoba ngalo. Waza dadewethu.
Hello, South Africa. The time has come. awethu amandla angawethu kusezandleni zethu.
Sibonga kakhulu kwi Aliko esethulele iculo lethu esizobe sikhankasa ngalo. Amakopi ala ayatholakala. Without any further waste of time, I would like to call upon the Honorable National Chairperson of the IFP to actually come forward and introduce our guest speaker for the day.
Comrades, I'll be very brief. It is my singular honor and privilege to introduce a leader and a statesman whose record and credentials are such that it does not really need an introduction to the people of South Africa. And in introducing him, I wish to start by making a statement that his life distinguishes him as being among the very few leaders who have lived the true sense of the term servant leadership. Please allow me just a few minutes to tell you why I'm saying this about this leader. This is the man who, as far back as 1970s, confronted successive National Party prime ministers about the release of Dr. Nelson Mandela, Mr. Zef Mtupeng, and all political prisoners, as well as the unbanning of the ANC, the PAC, and all liberation movements. Lest we forget, it was not fashionable at the time, for it was very dangerous for anyone to make such calls. As a servant leader, he placed his own life in danger for the good of his brothers and sisters who were incarcerated and exiled, as for the good of the liberation struggle. This is the man who refused to be led into accepting the Pretoria independence for KwaZulu and who resisted attempts to lay him into entering negotiations with the South African government behind the backs of his fellow compatriots who were banned, imprisoned, and exiled. Undoubtedly, those approaches from the National Party government would have paid good material benefit to him as a person. However, he rejected such overtures in private and in public. In the process, he further endowed his life and that of his family. He took that position because he was a servant leader who was willing to make sacrifices for the good of the people. History knows that Inkatha Nkululeko Yesizwe and its successor and the IFP never ever negotiated with the National Party behind the backs of the fellow freedom fighters and other leaders. Ironically, however, it was those negotiations in a non-inclusive and bad spirit which said that negotiations were to be between two opposing parties, that is the National Party representing the enemy camp and the ANC representing the oppressed. The intention was to include the Prince Buthelezi, the very leader who had struggled tirelessly for multi-party negotiated settlement in this country. Servant leadership made him reject exclusive negotiations with the apartheid regime, doing that good for the good of the country. As I leave the stage, allow me to leave you with the words of Mr. Gavin Reilly, who was the chairman of the Anglo-American and who was among the first business people who initiated contact with the exiled ANC, speaking about the Prince of Wapindangene. Reilly stated, no one, the ANC included, has done more to halt the ideological thrust of apartheid than Buthelezi. It is easy to forget that he was the only black leader with an authentic power base to have faced the heat a long time ago of a government still determined to enforce apartheid. it is now a privilege for me to ask the servant of the people, our President, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, to please ascend the stage. Ndabezitha wena wendlovu.
Ikashaya encinyanyana nyathi eshumayeleni msheshe solisa.
The Director of Programs, the Honorable Mr. M.A. Mngango, Member of Parliament, the Reverend John, who led us in prayers, Your Royal Highnesses, Amakosi, aphakathi wethu alapha kwaZulu Natal navela le eMpumalanga, the leadership of the IFP, NEC members, National Council members, and heads of all our structures, comrades. The 7th of May will be a defining moment. After 20 years of democracy, you, as the first generation to be born in a free South Africa, will exercise your right to vote. Together we can take our country into a new era, one of renewed possibility and hope. As voters, we'll shape our future, we'll choose our path, and together we'll walk this path into tomorrow. IFP activists from my generation will watch and pray. We will cast our vote and offer our wisdom. We have done all we can to bequeath to this generation a legacy of integrity and righteous action. It is for your sake, comrades, that we have labored. Now the future rests entirely in your hands. The bridge between this generation and the legacy of righteous struggle does not rest in the current government. Today's government is a far cry from the liberation movement of the past. Through its own failings, it has lost moral authority, integrity, and the right to lead us forward. When we look at the present government, we're not reminded of the heroes of the reconciliation and freedom, like Mr. Nelson Mandela, Mr. Walter Sisulu, Mr. Oliver Tambo, Mr. Robert Sobukwe, Inkosi Albert Luthuli, Bishop Alpheus Zulu, Dr. Zami Kongo, Steve Biko, Rowley Arenstein, and Joe Matthews and others. Today's leaders do not inspire us to continue their struggle. Instead, we look to the current government, we feel rising contempt and rising anxieties for corruption, protest and scandal have displaced reconciliation, freedom and hope. Those who claim to represent our past have failed and disappointed us severely. But they still have bridge, comrades, that links your generation to the warriors of freedom. They still a righteous remnant from a political era in which integrity, morality, and honest leadership prevailed, and that bridge is the IFP. Over almost 40 years of principled leadership, the IFP has seen generations unite and work together for freedom. Young and old have worked hand in hand on the side of what is true and right. I learned the value of different generations working together from my uncle, the father of the South African Liberation Movement, Dr. Pixley Isaga Seme. When I was doing matric at Adams College, south of here, my uncle had an eye operation and needed help transcribing his political writings. I assisted him. I sat with him for hours and soaked up the ideals and values of the struggle. I learned from Inkosi Albert Luthuli, who became the first black person to win the Nobel Peace Prize. As a young man fresh from the university, I sought in Constitutional Tuli's guidance on servant leadership, faith in the art of creating social cohesion. Throughout the 60 years in politics and public life, I've learned from men and women of integrity, from patriots and honest leaders. And I've taught these same values, as you saw when our youth leader and our women's brigades talked. I've taught these same values and lessons to young leaders of the IFP. I've modeled the values of our past warriors of freedom, knowing that these values, comrades, will be needed in the battles to come. The battles that will be waged long after I'm gone. Thus, the IFP is the custodian of the values and ideals of freedom. When we entered democracy, we did not change. When I founded the IFP in Qatar in 1975, I informed Oliver Tambo, because we were working together as cadres of the ANC. And I said that it was structured on the ideals of the ANC as propounded by the founding fathers in 1912. So the IFP entered South Africa's new democracy with 19 years of experience in governance. We already knew, in other words, what would work and what would not work, what was needed and what should be avoided at all costs. So the pitfalls of uncertainty, inexperience, and entitlement that overtook our colleagues in the government of national unity never encumbered the IFP. We retained our focus and our integrity, and we steered the government back onto the right course time and time again. With the final constitution, the government of national unity ended, and the IFP became the voice of opposition in our nation's parliament. But our value in governance, comrades, was recognized by President Mandela, that on the very first occasion, when he was going to be absent from the country, simultaneously with his deputy, he appointed me to be the acting president of the Republic of South Africa. President Mbeki went further and offered me the deputy presidency of our country. Unfortunately, his comrades from this province saw a political opportunity and demanded that the IFP hand over the premiership of KwaZulu-Natal in exchange. As a Democrat, I could not do that. I could not subvert the will of the electorate expressed through the ballot box. The people had asked the IFP to lead KwaZulu-Natal. I wish to pay tribute to the Honorable Dr. Lionel Mtshali, who is here, who was one of our premiers at that time. We would not sell your vote. Buying and selling votes is not IFP's style of leadership. So the IFP became the voice of opposition. And we continued to steer government back into the right path. We became the warriors for democracy. And we fought every political battle with passion, integrity, winning victories for South Africa time and time again. In KwaZulu-Natal, the IFP proved that the government under democracy can be clean, efficient, and effective. Even under the thumb of the national government that wanted us to fail, the IFP shaped KwaZulu-Natal at that time into an outstanding example of economic development, social cohesion, and effective policy. We were able to do this, comrades, because we fought for South Africa at the negotiating table during negotiations, as parties vied to shape our future constitutional democracy. The IFP insisted on a federal model that would allow power to be decentralized to the lowest level of government. In other words, we fought for a democracy that would work from the ground up, instead of government imposed from top to bottom. The National Party didn't see the need for this, and the now ruling party vehemently opposed this idea of being decentralized. The ANC wanted all the power at the top in the hands of a few so that they could govern South Africa unchallenged by anyone, even by people themselves. But thanks to God, the IFP's dogged fight, and at least for federalism, at least we were able to win for the country the provinces that exist for South Africa, and a place in the Constitution for provincial power to develop policy and to craft laws. Effectively, the IFP opened the way for people to decide what suits them best, where they are. We paved the way for healthy competition between provinces to raise the bar on service excellence. In other words, we paved the way for relevant policy, timely solutions, and practical governance. Because of this, the IFP was able to serve KwaZulu-Natal with excellence for 10 years, many of which were served under the leadership of Dr. Lionel Mjali. In the 19 years I led KwaZulu before democracy, as you know, not a single allegation of corruption was ever leveled at my administration. The IFP maintained our track record for clean leadership after 1994 for 10 years. But despite our contribution for good governance, and despite our leadership role in KwaZulu-Natal for those first 10 years, we have witnessed the national leadership of our country deteriorating year upon year. We see promises made and we see those promises broken. Like you, we saw a leadership installed under the cloud of criminal suspicion and personal scandal at the highest level. We have seen corruption take hold at every level of government and watched its removal of 2 national commissioners of police, several national ministers, provincial MECs, and many highly placed officials removed because of corruption. We saw cadre deployment, which became entrenched and turned entrepreneurs enriching themselves at the expense of service delivery. Now we see rising dissatisfaction all over the country and a growing tide of protest, which includes violent protest. We have seen the alliance partners of the ruling party rejecting the best wish list that this government had. I'm referring here to the National Development Plan. They've rejected even this, just as they rejected growth, employment, and redistribution, which President Mbeki proposed. We saw members of the COSATU and Southern Government's Party on our national screen saying, "We do not want gear, or seafood gear." So there is nothing new. There is nothing new. We see how votes are bought with food parcels and how voters are bussed into areas to swing election results. We see the massive abuse of state resources, and we thank the Auditor General and we thank our public protector. We hear how the government has lost no less than 24.8 billion rands to irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. We see how the land reform program has been corrupted and how Itala Bank, which I founded for poor people, now enriches the wives of the elite. We see how unemployment and the budget deficit grow while national debt rises and the cost of living outstrips us all as citizens of this country. In this parlor state, South Africans will vote again. This is my message not only to you, comrades, in the stadium. This is my message to all of South Africa. There is no doubt the current government needs to be fired. But although support for the ruling party will dramatically drop in 2014, unfortunately the government is unlikely to change hands as I see it at this point. And I'd like to sound this warning, Pangazita, because there are many parties clamoring for your vote, comrades, promising to deliver the sun, the moon, and stars if you make them the government in 2014. They can afford to make these promises because they won't be called upon to fulfill them. Some political newcomers promise to increase and even double social grants, but they can't tell you where the money will come from. They offer no plan to grow the economy or to shrink the budget deficit we're facing already. But they want you to believe that extra money will magically materialize if they assume the reins of government. Conveniently, they won't have to prove their promises to you. Voting for a party that promises double salaries and double social grants won't make this promise come true. It merely takes votes away from a constructive opposition that knows how to get things done. That is the track record. We have a track record. We're not theorizing. Tragically, parties contesting the 2014 elections are asking you to take the power from the hands of corrupt politicians and weak leaders and simply redistribute it. And we retain a weak government, but also have a loud opposition, reminding us how bad things are. That, comrades, is not the IFP's position. The IFP is waiting to take power out of the hands. The IFP is working to take the power out of the hands of a weak government and put it where it belongs, in your hands. We want to give you the power to change South Africa. We want to empower your voice. The IFP knows the truth about democracy, and we want you to hear it. The truth is, the power is yours.
That was the IFP leader, Mangosuthu Buthelezi, live from the King Goodwill Zwelithini Stadium. He's still busy with his speech, but we're going to come back quickly just to discuss with our political analyst here in studio, Kaliaboga Mapunya. Kaliaboga, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
So far, what do you make of the speech?
It looks like a backward-looking speech so far. I don't know, as the speech progresses, how much he's going to devote into the future, what the party is going to do. He has alluded to what the other parties are saying, the promises that they are doing to the voters. But one would have wanted him to dwell more on the future rather than the past. Currently, it will be understandable. I mean, the party, almost 24, years in existence, looking backwards, especially the track record that he was talking about. So one would expect, him to highlight those issues that show that, unlike other opposition parties, the IFP does have a track record in government. But like I'm saying, the voters out there would be expecting to understand exactly how the IFP is going to be delivering on the current challenges that they are facing.
Now, the theme for the IFP today's manifesto launch is the power is in your hands, or the power is yours for that matter. But when one looks back at the track record of the IFP since 1994, it seems like a slippery slope. They've been losing support over the years. Looking at these particular figures, if we look at the figures, 1994, 10.54%, 2009, 4.55%. That's almost more than 50% loss of the support, if we take a look at the graphic on screen in terms of the figures there. What do you make of the slippery slide for the IFP?
It's a phenomenon of a small party that is obviously, experiencing challenges, possibly because of internal, issues, but also external issues as a result of the competition from other, parties. As you will remember, from around 1994, the IFP used to be among the 5 top parties of the country. If you talk about the ANC and the DA, possibly in some instances, it has been seen as number 3. But as you have rightly pointed out, the truth of the matter is that it has been, hemorrhaging, if one can use that term, in terms of losing support. I'm looking here in terms of 1994, they had 43 seats, but in the 2009 elections, they had 18. So this is worrisome in a sense that it suggests a party which is, as you use the phrase, on a slippery slope. It means that the voters out there are quite constantly worried possibly about what the party can deliver, especially for the rest of the country, because as you know, the IFP, much as the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi was talking about the struggle credentials, or quote unquote the struggle credentials of the IFP, as he was talking about the release of the former president Nelson Mandela and so on. But there's also another baggage that it has, whereby you can only look at the challenges that the party has experienced shortly after the honeymoon period of 1994. Yes.
The other challenge is, of course, leadership. Mangosuthu Buthelezi has been the leader of that party for many years, and many has been saying that maybe he's a dictator. Your thoughts?
There have been some analysts who have used the word authoritarian style of leadership, and they have used examples such as the time when Dr. Ziba Gianni, left and formed NADECO, and then shortly thereafter we now had in the 2009 elections Kamagwaza Msibi, who formed the NFP. There are obviously signs that the party itself internally has got problems. Some of the problems are obviously related to leadership, and it is obviously how the party is managing, these internal, divisions and so on. We had just before the president spoke, the support coming from the Women's Brigade as well as the IFP Youth Brigade, saying that they are supporting their party. But one would wonder as to how much support, do the other people, ordinary members, have of the leadership that is normally appointed. Because remember, the IFP is also subject to the party list system, whereby you outline a list of candidates, and then of course the voters out there have to vote for them. Sometimes they might not necessarily agree with them.
Kaliboha, thank you so much. We're going to cross back now to the King Zwelithini Stadium, where Mangosuthu Buthelezi is continuing his speech.
We'll promote sweat equity incentives to those who work to build houses and lay pipes for water, for electricity and sanitation in their communities. As we vote on the 7th of May, I encourage you, comrades, to ask yourself 3 questions. 1, are your representatives capable of fulfilling their duties and their promises to you? 2, have they represented your interests with honesty and integrity? Number 3, have they responded to the issues that affect you and your family? You deserve a government that serves your needs and represents you with integrity. You have the right to demand honesty from anyone in authority. With your support, the IFP plans to do the following. Number 1, we want to enforce the Constitution and make Parliament review and punish dishonesty and inappropriate use of state resources. This also means guaranteeing the Auditor General's, the Public Protector, the National Prosecuting Authority, and Special Investigating Unit that they have the resources they require to investigate and prosecute suspected abuse. Secondly, we plan to investigate the cases of corruption and prosecute the offenders in a specially mandated corruption court. Number 3, we intend to fire all law enforcement officers and public servants found guilty of stealing your tax money or abusing power. Number 4, we intend to eradicate tender fraud by giving National Treasurer the means to monitor all supply chain management activities. Number 5, we intend to professionalize the civil service by limiting the policy cadre deployment that currently compromises delivery and development in our country. Number 6, we want to appoint qualified and competent people, regardless of their party affiliation, to head the country's prosecution and policing agencies. Number 7, assess and reward officials based on their performance, regardless of their party affiliation. I would now like to deal with education. When it comes to education, the IFP understands that it's about our children. It's not about sacrificing quality just to churn out grade 12 passes. It's more than that. It's about equipping you, young South Africans, to work, to create and become masters of your own destiny. It's about encouraging our children to be and to do all that they are capable of doing. All the God-given gifts that God gave them, all the talents that God gave them. The IFP believes there is a role and a place for everyone in South Africa. So every contribution matters, each and every one of them. Our education system needs to be overhauled to meet world standards. To nurture our children, the IFP is determined to do the following, comrades: to refocus the curriculum, to concentrate on quality, and to motivate teachers and children to learn to think and challenge themselves. 2, to encourage parents to get more involved in their children's education. 3, to take politics out of education. Our children's future should not be compromised by unions and governing body politics. 4, we want to help teachers to develop their skills by opening teacher training colleges, which the ANC closed down because they were erected by me, and funding more support programs. Number 5, we want to support each principal's efforts to hold their teachers accountable and manage their schools honestly and efficiently, and to promote inclusive education to cater for the differently abled. And 7, to support tertiary education by allocating more money for accommodation and scholarship. If all the money that has been swallowed up by corruption was not swallowed up by corruption and theft of the government at all levels, there would be no need for our children to be queuing up at tertiary institutions where even people have been had. Education is the key that locks on opportunity. And South Africa needs to work much harder to create opportunities for those willing to seize them. The IFP will get South Africa working. We have the experience, comrades, the knowledge and the will to take action now. Our mission is to create conditions that attract and develop skills and enable current and new businesses to drive our country forward. To grow South Africa's economy and to create jobs, the IFP is determined to do the following. We intend to balance job creation and job protection by revising the labor laws to allow more flexibility. When I was in the cabinet of Mr. Mandela, and when I was in the cabinet of Mr. Mbeki, our present president was actually asked by Mr. Mbeki to attend to the issue of trying to ease our rigid labor laws in this country. But no longer was that said when COSATU and South African Communist Party were seen on our television screens saying, we'll roll mass action. Immediately, whenever any of the tripartite partners of the ANC, whether it's the South African Communist Party or whether it's COSATU, whenever they sneeze, ANC catches a cold. Secondly, we intend to take politics out of the economy. Union politics should not hold our economy and our economic future to ransom. 3, we intend to focus on developing skills suitable for today's job market by funding training programs, apprenticeships, and learnerships. Number 4, we intend to create tax incentives and low-tax investment zones in rural areas to stimulate growth, jobs, and development. Number 5, we intend to support sustainable small and medium-sized businesses, SMEs, and reward them for employing and training women, youth, and those who are differently abled. Number 6, we intend, with the mining and related sectors, to refine raw materials in South Africa and build our processing and manufacturing industries. And 7, we intend to use the idle farms and financial incentives to encourage new and current farmers to grow cash crops for export. We need to get South Africa working. Our nation is suffering. When we look to the health care system, for instance, which I'm addressing now, it is clear that we are living in a state of crisis. We need hospitals and clinics that are staffed by competent professionals who are properly rewarded for their performance. The IFP believes it is our duty to provide you with health services that are affordable, that care for you and your family, and that use experienced staff and quality equipment to diagnose and treat you. The IFP has delivered these services before in KwaZulu-Natal, as you know, We know what needs to be done and how to do it. We don't need to we don't need to refine the wheel. To reform the system, the IFP plans to do the following. We intend to streamline the policies governing how healthcare is delivered. Secondly, we intend to prosecute and punish dishonest behavior according to the law. Thirdly, we stand to properly pay doctors and nurses, especially those working in rural areas. 4, we intend to take politics out of healthcare, and union politics should not compromise the service you receive. And 5, we intend to train and retrain hospital staff to cope with the new procedures and equipment. Colleagues, the IFP's mission is to heal our nation. An important step in this healing process is to address the contentious issues of land use. Let me address the issue of land use and land reform, which pits so many South Africans against each other. We need to build trust and common purpose amongst all land users, traditional leaders, claimants, tenants, and workers, farm owners, and government. The IFP plans to work with stakeholders to search for common and viable solutions by doing the following. We intend commissioning a full-scale land audit to officially determine who owns what. 2, use these findings to redistribute state land and to support community projects to farm it commercially. 3, to recognize white commercial farmers as citizens with rights and obligations to their land and urgently address farm attacks, which are very serious. 4, to protect farm workers and tenants from eviction. 5, to limit taxes that minimize a farm's profitability, such as those required by the Property Rates Act. 6, encourage partnerships and mentorships with experienced farmers to attract and train new farmers and to develop supporting industries such as transport services. And 7, to ensure that commercially productive farms will not be used for mere resettlement or subsistence farming. Then, respecting each other and upholding the law is the only way to secure our shared future, fellow South Africans. The IFP champions the rule of law. We believe everyone should honor the law, but to create respect for the law, the judiciary, the police, the prison system need to be overhauled. The IFP plans to insist that the judiciary do the following. 1, to be more efficient about their work. 2, to prosecute and punish any dishonest behavior according to law. 3, to improve the working conditions for prosecutors, judges, and court administrators to boost morale and efficiency. The IFP plans to turn the police into a highly qualified, well-paid, and motivated service. I tried to warn Mr. Zuma in Parliament that he must stop the habit of appointing comrades as national commissioners, because 2 national commissioners had to be fired because they were comrades who were not trained policemen. So we are just upgrading the current training curriculum of the police to emphasize human rights, empathy, investigative skills, and forensic analysis. We intend decentralizing how the police and its various divisions are managed. We intend encouraging community to respect authority and making the police more accountable to the communities they serve. 4, appointing senior officers and administrators based on their ability and experience and regularly review and reward their performance. And 5, improving the conditions police officers work under and paying them properly. Then I want to deal with the issue of prisons. South Africa needs prisons that reform inmates. To achieve this, the IFP plans to do the following. Number 1, to overhaul and depoliticize the parole system so that hardcore criminals and those who are politically connected serve their full sentences. Number 2, develop and fund programs that rehabilitate juvenile offenders. 3, develop alternative sentencing guidelines for those convicted of minor offenses to reduce the number of inmates in our prisons, and to ensure that violent criminals are not housed with those convicted of lesser charges. Number 4, prosecute officials accused of corruption and hire and reward people based on their skills and experience. Everyone plays a role in shaping South Africa, each one of us. For many generations, traditional leaders, Amakosi, have ensured good governance in traditional communities, creating discipline, social cohesion, and social justice. But over the past 20 years, Amakosi traditional leaders have seen their role, powers, and functions eroded. Our diversity and traditions are the foundation of our democracy. The IFP plans to continue to embrace this diversity and to promote the leadership role of women that women play. The IFP plans to do the following: protect and sustain the institution of traditional leadership. 2, to respect, train, and properly compensate traditional leaders. 3, support efforts to promote and preserve the moral fiber and regeneration of our society. 4, help you, Amakosi, to promote communal economies through self-help and self-reliance programs and projects. 5, to insist that Amakosi promote peace, stability, and social cohesion in their communities. Number 6, to ensure that legislation clearly defines the role, powers, and functions of our traditional leaders. And 7, to ensure that traditional leadership structures receive an appropriate budget. It's really amazing that for 20 years, this government has failed to give budgets for traditional councils, for district councils, even for provincial councils. No budget. Our culture and customs and values define who we are. We deserve to be proud of who we are. South Africa is a great nation. There is potential within us, and we have not even begun to tap it. But under a weak leader, we'll never see our economy or our society reach the heights that it could reach. The IFP wants to see South Africa where every individual can fulfill their potential without fear, without need or despair. We want to see a stable and growing economy that focuses on our development rather than just temporary safety nets. Poverty must be eradicated, not just alleviated. We want to see unity among our people and a leadership that is worthy of your respect. All this can be achieved, comrades. It is possible. And the power to create all this is yours. The IFP understands this. We are here to partner with you on the journey to changing our beautiful country, South Africa. We believe the people who vote own and shape their own future. We believe that people who vote for the IFP are people who understand what real democracy means. It is not about voting for those in power and in a show of blind allegiance. And it is not about voting for their loudest critics to let them know how angry we are. It's about voting for the strongest catalyst of change that empowers you to make a difference. The IFP isn't waiting for our time in government to prove how good we are. For 20 years, we've worked with the mandate of the electorate to influence governance, as I will show you. Through the government of national unity, through the government of KwaZulu-Natal, through our premiers, including Dr. Mchali, as the official opposition in the province under Dr. Mchali and as Mr. Kwala, and as the third largest party at the national level. We have been catalysts of change. We have been very effective warriors of democracy. Our team in the National Assembly in Cape Town, where I am, where we have deployed me, comrades, has changed the way things are done in Parliament in Cape Town. One of our greatest champions, the Honorable Dr. Mario Ambrosini, Oriani Ambrosini, took the Speaker of the National Assembly to the Constitutional Court to challenge the rules of Parliament. The rules barred individual MPs from introducing draft legislation, allowing only ministers, in other words, only ANC, to do so. In a 2-year battle of litigation, Dr. Mario Oriani Ambrosini never backed down, for he was fighting on behalf of every MP, regardless of political party, to represent their constituency's interests. Against the odds, Dr. Ambrosini won. Because an IFP MP had that courage of convictions, today any MP can now table legislation in Parliament to consider. The IFP was the first to do so, with Dr. Ambrosini introducing another National Credit Amendment Bill. This bill sought to legislate against credit providers, accumulating enormous interest charges from people under debt review. It garnered such widespread support that government felt pressured into adopting the idea into its own legislation. In other words, comrades, the IFP served the people so well that government was followed to follow us. I myself took the President and the Minister of Home Affairs to the Constitutional Court when they refused a visa to the Dalai Lama, and I won the case. And that has happened many times before. Consider this important thing. As you know, 2 of my children died of AIDS. And AIDS, this disease, which has killed many of your family as well. Consider the rollout of antiretrovirals under the IFP-led government in KwaZulu-Natal, when the national government was in denial, when the national minister of health was saying people must eat beetroot. It was so effective in saving lives of newborn babies that we're able to challenge national government to do the same. We didn't balk at going to the Constitutional Court. The TAC went to the Constitutional Court, and we went to the Constitutional Court as amicus curiae, in other words, friends of the court. And the Constitutional Court, as a result of our action, ordered the government to do as the IFP was doing in KwaZulu-Natal. Today, the ANC is boasting that they have a good story to tell, and that is their good story to tell. That is the IFP good story to tell. It's not. Then there are many examples of municipal IDPs, that is integrated development plans, which we introduced. They were developed by the IFP in municipalities across KwaZulu-Natal, and which are still being implemented by those who took these municipalities through a political coalition. In they recognize the value of what the IFP designed, in other words, and there is nothing better they can introduce that they could offer themselves. But it takes more than good policies to create growth, stability, and prosperity, comrades. It takes a leadership of integrity that knows how to implement good policy and how to adjust to accommodate future needs of a country. The IFP's value is hard to ignore. Even our political opponents recognize it. Recently, we lost one of our stalwarts, Mr. Moliane Benskosana. He gave such remarkable leadership in Parliament that he was appointed House Chairperson in the National Assembly, presiding over members' interests of all parties in Parliament. Our leaders are trusted, comrades. Our leaders are admired, comrades. We are emulated, comrades, and given an example worthy of following. We are not a party of critics only that create animosity and friction among South Africans for the sake of it. We are a constructive opposition, leading the way to a positive change. Because that is what our country deserves. That is what you deserve. The IFP has listened to your concerns. We have felt the heartbeat of our nation, and we have responded with a manifesto of commitments that echoes what South Africans need. Now we must pass the torch on to you as the new generation. There are young leaders in the IFP who are steeped in these values, in these ideals and vision of warriors of freedom, and who act their own right as warriors of democracy. We are proud of these leaders, and we know they can take South Africa into the next era. They have the capacity to make this country great. This is not about starting a revolution of protest, of violent protest. No, but a revolution of goodwill. A revolution that has the power to create peace, to create reconciliation, to create stability, and to create growth. I urge you to join us as we open a new chapter for South Africa. We ask you to the polls on the 7th of May and cast your vote for the IFP. You'll be voting for a party already hard at work, fulfilling goals and setting standards. You'll be voting for a party of integrity. You'll be voting for a party of experience. You'll be voting for a party of action. The power to start a revolution of goodwill begins with you. It begins with your vote for the party. Ngalawo magama bawethu usuku lukaNhlaba luzoba ngumzuzu ocacisa izinto. Yocacisa izinto zithi ba njengento embuzi. Uthi sonke izosingalisa esikhathini esisha, esikhathini samathuba abavuselelweyo nethemba elisha. Thina njengabavoti yithi sizokwakha isimo sekusasa lethu thina, yithi sizokhetha indlela efunwa yithi sisonke, yithi sizoluhamba ukhalo luya esikhathini sangomuso. Amashashazela ethu eqembu lenkatha yenkululeko esizukulwane esidala sami sizolinda sikhuleke sinithandazele. Sizofaka ivoti lethu, sinikele ulwazi lwethu kini tshayethu, sikwenze konke okusemandleni ethu ukwabela lesi sizukulwane ifa nobuqotho obusemandleni ethu ukwabelana nesizukulwane esisha ifa nokusebenza okulungileyo. Sizozikhandla ukuze kusizakale nina. Manje ikusasa lenu lisezandleni zenu nina. Sithi ibhuloho elixhumanisa lesizukulwane nefa lomzabalazo olungileyo kalikho kulohulumeni kakhongolose. Ulona namhlanje ukhalelene kakhulu nombutho womzabalazo wesikhathi esedlule. Ngokusehlukela kwakhe, ngokuhlulekela kuhulumeni ulahlekelwe yigunya lesimilo nobuqotho nelungelo lokusiholela phambili. Ngenkathi sisungula inkatha ngasho ukuthi sifaka ingcabo zayo, sifaka efoundation kaKhongolose ngokuqoshwa kwayo ngabaqambi bakaKhongolose ngo-1912. Ngakusho lokho emva kokukhuluma noThabo. Sebekhalile kulokho bona, bengibatshela kanje eParliament. Abasekho lapho. Sekusele thina lapho. Ngasibheka nohulumeni okhona. Ngawusikhumbuza amaqhawe esiwazi ukubuyisana nenkululeko. Abantu abafana noMadiba, abafana noXhamela oSisulu, abafana noMnumzane Oliver Tambo, abafana noRobert Sobukwe, abafana neNkosi uLuthuli, abafana noBishop Alpheus Zulu, abafana noDr. Zami Chonco, abafana noSteve Biko, abafana noRolly Arnstein, abafana noJoe Matthews, nabanye abaningi abanye abakhona la. Abaholi banamhlanje kabasosifaka intshisekelo yoba siqhubeke nomzabalazo lo engikhuluma ngawo. abangasekho kuwo bese benaka amaphakethe abo kuphela bona ukuthi ungenani ezikhwameni zabo ekunesala nxa sibhekalohulumeni okhona njengamanje ocomrade siza sikhushukela ngokubukela phansi sikhushukela nangukhathazeka ngawo ngoba inkohlakalo imbhikisho amahlazo sekuthatha indawo yokubuyisana sekuthatha indawo yenkululeko sekuthatha lendawo yethemba laba bathi bamele isikhathi sethu esedlule behlulekile futhi sidumaze ngendlela esabekayo kodwa ke noma ke kunjalo ngithi mina lalelani lisekhona ibhuloho elixhumanisayo lesizukulwana mbutho enkululeko isekhona insalela yokulunga isikhathi sombusazwe lapho ekuvame khona ubuqotho isimilo nobuholo obuthembekayo lelo bhuloho yethemba inkatha yenkululeko esikhathini seminyaka ngaphezu kwama-40 soboli omnomgome inkatha yenkululeko ibona izizukulwane ihlangana zisebenzela inkululeko zindawonye abancane nabadala basebenze ngokubambisana bazohlanganiswa ngalokho kuliqiniso lokulungileyo mina ukubaluleka kwezizukulwane ehlukileyo ngafunda ngikanye nobaba umsunguli kaKhongolose udokotela uPix kaIsaka Seme wayegane umamekazi umntwana uphikisile izibulo likababa mkhulu isilo uDinizulu kaMpande uDinizulu kaCetshwayo ngenkani ngifunda eMazimtoti khona la ubaba wahlinzwiso udokotela uSeme wangithuma ukuba ngenze imisebenzi yakhe yimi engangimlekelela ngalesikhathi ngangihlala amahora ngcela umqondo yokuhle kululoma kade bona umbono namagugu omzabalazo emzini wakhe ebuqhamukeni emahashini ngafunda futhi enkosini uAlbert Luthuli oba umuntu omnyama oqala ukuzuza indondo yokuthula iPeace Nobel Peace Prize ngiseyibhungu ngisanda kuphuma enyuvesi ngafuna uholo lenkosi Luthuli ngoba uholi bokusebenzela abantu ukholo nobuciko bokwakha ukuhlangana enhlalweni yomphakathi kuyo yonke iminyaka yami engama-60 nginkosi embusazweni nemsebenzini womphakathi ngifunde emadodeni nakwabesifazane abaqotho ngafunda emaqhaweni namaqhawekazi ayethanda izwe ayethanda isizwe sakubo nakubaholi babethembekile lamakhono ngafundisile nezifundo baholi abayintsha nizwile ngesikhathi khuluma umholi wentsha nizwile khuluma umholi wabesifazane ngakhe amagugu amabutho ethu enkululeko esikhathi esedlule ngazi ukuthi lamagugu azodingeka eziwombeni zempi ezayo iwombe ezoshiswa ezingaphambili esikhathini eside noma mina ngasekho phakathi kwenu sengihambile emhlabeni ngakho-ke i-IFP ingumsingathi wamagugu lemqondo yokuhle enkululeko ngenkathi singena entandweni yeningi thina ngasizange siguquke asibona asizona iy'nwabu omaguguguquka i-IFP yangena entandweni yeningi yeningizimu ne-Afrika isinolwazi lweminyaka eyi-19 ngesikhathi siphethela kwaZulu sasivele sikwazi ukuzosebenza sasivele sikwazi okungeke kusebenze sasivele sikwazi okwakudingeka sasivele sikwazi okufanele kugwenywe ngazo zonke indlela ngakho iyela zongabaza ukuntula ulwazi nokunikeza ilungene okwasifitezela oza kwethu sise uhulumeni wobunye nabo ngakuzange kuyigcine i-IFP thina sakwazi ukugcina imiqondo yethu igxile kwesasikwenza sagcina nobuqotho bethu sabuyisela uhulumeni endleleni efaneleyo siphindaphinde umengameli uMandela wajabhisa uKhongolose nabaholi bakhe nangokuqala ehamba yaphesheya nesekela lakhe umbheke yaphesheya waqoka mina bekhona ongqongqoshe bakaKhongolose waqoka mina ukuba kube yimi engiphatha izwe ngenkathi ngithumela ngenkathi ngesikhathi ngithumela amabutho aseBotswana neSouth Africa eLesotho. Umongameli uMbeki wathi mase kuphelile uhulumeni obunye, umongameli uMbeki wathi ucela ngibe yisekela lemongameli. Abaholi bakakhongolo sebalahlela sakwaZulu Natal teleke yesheba gijima baya ePitoli bathi akathi isikhundla sikaNdunankulu walapha enani sinike uIFP angisithathe ngiyocubuza ngaso ukhongolose ukuze ngibe yisekela lemongameli. Ngathi iklibhi singahlala isikhundla senu. Angwazi udayisa ngamavoti enu ngicubuzile ukuba ngibe i-deputy president. Ngakho saba yizwe liphikisana ngobuqotho. Saba ngamabutho entando yeningi. Sala nalesihlolo silombe sempi yombusazwe. Ngentshisekelo nobuqotho sanqobela izwe siphindaphinda. Sakwazi ukwenza lokhu ngoba sasikwenzela iningizimu Afrika esigabeni sokubonisana. Ngoba kukhona ifundazwe nje lo umnikelo wanikelwa inkatha enkululeko. Bona babefuna amandla aqoqeleyo asengiswa ibophezulu. Kodwa sakuphika lokho. Ingakho khona ifundazwe nje. Ingakho nje umnumzana uSihwale athi kumnumzana uMusameni siyamthanda umholi wenu ngoba uyanyakazisa ishasha awama aphule siwaqosha. Sibonga uNkulunkulu ngokuthi ukufikelela kwe-IFP kulolu uhlelo lombusazwe owodwa ney'funda waphumelela noma singafika ngalapha sasilufika khona. Saphumelela ukuvula indlela yokuba abantu bakwazi ukwenza iy'nqumo ey'fanelene nabo uzedlula zonke lapho bekhona. Salungisela ukuncishisana okunempilo phakathi kwey'fundazwe nokuphakamisa imigomo ezingeni elihle kunawo wonke lokusebenzela abantu. Salungisela ukusebenza kwemigomo efaneleyo ney'xazululo ezenzeka ngesikhathi esifaneleyo nokubusa okungenzeka. Ngenxa yalokhu i-IFP yakwazi ukusebenzela kwaZulu Natal ngezinga elihle kunawo wonke. Eminyakeni eyishumi ngoholela kwaZulu azange kuzwakala nakancane ukuthi kwakubiwa imali yabantu yenu nakancane. Nalapho imali sibuyiselwa uhulumeni weningi ngo-94 bonke ohulumeni behluleka ukuyibuyisela yabuyiselwa yimi kuphela. Kodwa sabona kubekwa ngo-94 ubuholi emva ka-94 ngaphansi kwejunzi ley'nsolo zobugebengu namahlazo abakuthiwa bawenzile. Sabona inkohlakalo igxila kulelo lezinga likahulumeni. Sabukela kususwa okomishana bamaphoyisa ababili uSilibe kanye noCele nongqongqoshe basuswa neyimeya zikakhongolo zikasuswa. Sabona ibhelu ezweni lonke zenziwa abantu bakakhongolo sebevukela omasipala babo bona abakhethwe yibo bona. Sabona indlela ekuthengwa ngayo amavoti ngamaphasela okudla nokuthuthwa ngayo abavoti njengoba kuyukhetho nje besiwe endaweni abangahlali kuzo uguqula imiphumela yokhetho. Sabona izinga elikhulu lokusetshenziswa kabi kwamalungiselelo ombuso. Sibonga umcwaningi mabhuku uTerence Nombembe. Sibonga futhi nomvikeli womphakathi uAdvocate Madonsela. Sizwe indlela ukuthi imali ezigijigiji ezingama-24 24 billion isetshenziswe ngendlela engenayithelo nengcithakalo. Billions ezingenza yonke lento esihluphayo. Siyayibona indlela uhlelo lokuguqula ukuphathwa komhlaba olukhohlakiswa ngalo nalo. Ibhange ngalendlela abantu abampofu lapha lesifundazwe selihlebise amakhosikazi abakhethekileyo. Sibona indlela okukhula ngayo ungaqashwa nokungeneli kwesabelo seyimali kukhula. Abantu esiningi Afrika bazovota kulesi simo seyimali esibucayi. Ngangabazeke ukuthi uhulumeni okhona njengamanje udinga ukuqoshwa. Kodwa ke nalawo kweseka kweqembu elibusayo ungase kwehle. Kodwa ngokubona kwami ngicabangeke ukuthi kungenzeka ukuba ungene kwezinye izandla njengoba sifisa. kulesikhathi ngenza lesi siqwayiso bakwethu ngoba maningi amaqembu abangumsindo njengamanje afuna ivoti lenu athembisa bethula ilanga izulu libeke phansi athembisa bethula inyanga izulu libeke phansi abathembisa inkanye ezulu bayibeke phansi manje votela bona bayakwazi ukwenza lezi ithembiso ngoba ngeke benziwe kuba bayifeza kulula nje babakhuluma oma fika izolo abathile bethembisa ukukhulisa kanye ngisho nokuyiphinde ibonelelo zeimpesheni zentala kahle kodwa bangachazi ukuthi imali yobe iphuma phi kwenza lokho ngalikho abalithembayo lokuthi bazokhulisa kanjani umnotho ababekiswe bafuna ukuba wena ukholwe ukuthi ukhona imali yokwengeza ezovela yehle ezulwini yenze ngomlingo uma sebethatha amatombona yeni kuhle kubo phela ngoba ngeke bakudinga ufakazela ithembiso zabo bayakwazi lokho uvole iqembu elithembisa ukuphinda-phinda kabela amaholo nezibonelelo zeyimali zenhlala kahle ngeke kusenze sifezeke leso sithembiso sabo samanga futhi ngiyaqiniswa ukuthi ekujuleni kwenhliziyo zabo konembeza babo bayazi basikhohlisa okwenzayo nje ngokuphuca iqembu eliphikisayo ngomqotho uthatha amavoti bokunika iqembu elithembisize ngisho amaqembu abanga ukhetho akucela ukuba uthatha manje ezandleni zabaholi bombusayo abakhwahlakeleyo baleli iqembu elibusayo nababuthakathaka njengebakhosi bakakhongolose uwabe kabusha uze ugcine uhulumeni obuthakathaka kodwa sibe namaqembu aphikisayo abangumsini asikhumbuza kuphela izinto ezimbi nje kuphela ukuthi zimbi kanjani bengasho ukuthi kwenziweni asinjalo-ke thina siyibalile zonke izinto esithe sizozenza leli iqiniso eliqhuba umsebenzi wethu ingakho nje umbhalo we-IFP lo ngowethulayo nemigomo yokhetho wehlukile kunoma yimuphi omunye umbhalo wenhloso nemigomo yokhetho khona siyabazi ubunzima thina obugqolozela abantu bakithi futhi siyayiqonda inselelo thina sezwe lakithi iningi le-Afrika ibhekene neyinselelo enzima ngakho abaholi abayimisele ngeqiniso bakwa-IFP i-IFP naso inalo isu lokululeka abantu uba baphume ey'meni zabo hhayi uba baphephe nje kodwa begqabha phakathi kwakho kodwa baphume impela benyuleke yilokho esifunayo umbhalo wethu wey'nhloso nemigomo yokhetho ungaphezu kuba yuhle nje lwento esiyifisayo ungaphezu kwakho konke awusiyiluyide nje lwey'thembiso engamaphupho nje owethu umbhalo wey'nhloso nemigomo yokhetho uyuhlelo olusebenzayo uyinto eyosebenza siphokosele kuyo imigomo yokhetho futhi uyinto esizosebenza siphokosele kuyo kakhathaleki ukuthi noma siba uyo uhulumeni ngoMeyi 7 noma siqhubeka ngoba iqembu eliphikisayo sobe siqhubekile sakha njengoba sivele senze umbhalo we-IFP wey'nhloso nemigomo uqhubeka wedlule emazwini ombono nje futhi uzowedlule nasekubeni incazelo yokuthi sizofeza kanjani lowo mbono esiwubekayo sithatha isinyathelo thina kwawethu sokwangeza sokwakha uhlelo lomsebenzi enokwenzeka esiyokwenza leminyaka emihlanu ezayo manje isikhethile ukusondeza izwe ekubeni izwe elinifaneleyo bakwethu emhlabeni wonke izizwe ezinamandla azakhele phezu kwey'thembiso zakhela phezu kweqiniso nobuholi obuthembekileyo abukho ubuholi obakhelwe efoundation yamanga noba wohubhubu kabhejani oba kwamisa izwe emhlabeni iqiniso ngokuthula kwey'nsiza ukuthi wena comrade ufanele ngokungcono abantu baleli izwe sebelahlekelwe ngokwethemba uhulumeni wabo kazwelonke sebelahlekelwe wethemba uhulumeni wey'fundazwe njengelapha kwaZulu Natal nabawamasipala okungakalisayo nxa ethi umcwaningo omkhulu wezwe jikelele omasipala makhulu amabili evayo bawu-9 kuphela abaney'ncwadi zey'mali zabantu engenahibo ukuthi bonke laba abanye bayidlile zashona ngenkohlakalweni iy'mali zabantu untula ikhono nokuphathwa kwemali ngendlela efanele nongethembeki yiko kufaka kwethulwa kwensiza ebucayini ngishaqekile mangizimangamele ekhuluma lapha eParliament sihlezi impela sahleli nabo omthonyisho umnqongo labo nomthonyisho isingi labo sihlezi nabo laba ekhuluma lapha umnumzane umangameli wethu uZuma ethi mebala u95% wabantu beSouth Africa benele lo 5% obanga ibhelu lezibonakalayo benziwa ngoba bejaha ukuba benzele lokhu sekwenziwe ku95 elingami magama u95 wonke wezwe kusho umengameli wezwe emimpela etshena izwe lokho ngonembeza wakhe wonke yeni ngithi mina kungukubukela phansi ngendlela eyinhlamba ingqondo yenu lokho ukwenithuka ukuthi nizimpumpelana ithushanyana ezingakwazi ukuyicabangela iyashaqisa indlela lokhu ukhulunywa umengameli uZuma uthi ngenzeka kanjani bakwethu ukuthi kuthiwe ingcenye ezingama-95 zethu lapha eSouth Africa sisenele okwenzekayo kodwa kube isilinganiso sabantu ikota lonke labantu banayo imisebenzi lapha estadium kugcwele abantu abangenayo imisebenzi abangakwazi ukufuna imisebenzi bangathokoza kanjani igidi zabantu bephila esimeni sobupha umngaka nalapho cishe wonke umuntu ethintwa khona bugebengu nalapho sonke sikhalazekile ngekusasa lethu IFP izimisele ukwelapha amanxeba maningi amanxeba sengwakhombile simisele njenga-IFP ukwelapha simisele ngiguqula ukwethula kwey'nsiza ngokwenza ukusebenza kusukela ezingeni lasekhaya kuye kufike phezulu sihlela kuyenza isebenze ngobungcwepheshe indlela omasipala baphethwe ngayo sidalo nesiko lokuphendula hhayi kuba kuphendule umcwaningi jikelele wamabhuku kuphela kodwa kuphendule kini kwenziwe yini ngaleli viki eliphambili ubasizwe ukuthi uSkopa eMgungundlovu ubiza umasipala umeya kamasipala weZululand unkosikazi Anele Magwaza Msibi ebizwa ikomiti ephethe imali iSkopa wehluleka ukuya no DG wakhe wehluleka ukuya abaze baya bebuza ukuthi abazochaza into ezithile ngoba ngiyazi phela abanye benu ukwazile ukunilutha anikhohlisi kwaMagwaza Msibi ukaMagwaza Msibi ingane yami njengani nje ukhuliswe yimi yebo kunjalo ubeza lapha kini afika athi mthonyanga mthona ngakho ngithi bo comrade ukukhuluma akusizi lutho izenzo zikhuluma ngendlela ezwakala kakhulu kunokukhuluma kuningi okucobezelayo kushiwo amaqembu ukuthi awukwenza lokhu nalokhu khona isisho samangisi esihle kabi ukuthi all that glitters is not gold ingakho i-IFP ifuna ukubona kusetshenzwa ingakho nje sihlela ukukhipha umbusaze ekuthelweni kwey'nsizwa sifuna ukubathathela inyathelo esheshayo laba behluleka ukwethula sifuna ukushushisa laba ababekwe amacala enkohlakalo nokuqiniseka ukuthi abalahlwe ngamacala badonse igwebo zabo ngokupheleleyo simisela ukunikeza amathuba okuvivisela emsebenzini kulabo abakufunayo emajele nokulandela inqubekela phambili yabaphathi bomasipala ngokuhambela izinda zokusebenza ngezikhathi kuhlolwa imisebenzi ngokuzumisa nokubambisana nani bavoti ukulekelela ukwethula iy'nsiza ey'funekayo lezi zindlela zokubambisana zizoqhubekisa indlela zokukhuthaza izisebenzi nokuyiklomelisa ngokusebenza ngokuyikhandla kulabo abasebenza ukwakha izindlu nokufaka amapayipi amanzi ugesi nokuthutha kokungcola emphakathini yabo njengoba sivota abacomrade mhla ka-7 kuNhlaba ngiyanikhuthaza uba niyibuze imibuzo emithathu nje kuphela imibuzo emithathu nje kuphela okokuqala zibuze umbuzo ukuthi ngabe abakumele bakwazi yini ukufeza imisebenzi yabo kanye nezithembiso abazenza kuwe na 1 2 ngabe idingo zakho bayimele ngokuthembeka nobuqotho nje lesibili 3 ngabe babaphendulile nje endabeni ezikuthintayo wena nomndeni wakho nje wesithathu phela ngithi mina wena comrade kufanele nguhulumeni osebenzela idingo zakho nokumela ngobuqotho futhi unelungelo lokufuna ukuthembeka kunoma ubani obekwe uwe emagunyeni ngevoti lakho ngokweseka uwe i-IFP ihlela lokhu kulandelayo ukuphoqelela isakhiwo sezwe i-constitution nokwenza iphalamende libukeze libuye lijezise ungethembeki nokusetshenziswa ngokungafanele kwamalungiselelo lokhu kusho ukuqinisa babe into nje iqonda nomcwaningo ngawabhuku noma umphakathi umalungiselelo umbuso umvikeli ummeli madoliselo no phenyo olukhethekileyo lokuphenya abantu malungisela abadingayo uphenyo nokushushisa insolo zokwenza amacala okwesibili kuba kuphenya onke amacala enkohlakalo.
Well,
That was the IFP leader, Mangosuthu Buthelezi, live from the King Goodwill Zwelithini Stadium. As you know, the 2014 IFP Manifesto launch was broadcasting live from there. Right now, to give us a feedback in terms of the speech itself, Kalebocha Mapunga, he is the analyst with us discussing the issues. Life without Mangosuthu Buthelezi for the IFP, do you foresee that?
It will be unthinkable, but it's possible. He looks to be ailing. And of course, in Africa, the era of strongman politics is over. So I think this would also be the same thing for the IFP. But we cannot wish him away right now. He still seems to be, very much in charge.
The speech sort of turned a corner from where it was previously, looking only at the history of the IFP. What do you make of it in closing?
In closing, I think it covers 3 issues. One, it sought to highlight the experiences of the IFP, especially his own experiences in the government of national unity, to show that the IFP has got some alternative. It has been in power before. 2, it also sought to highlight the perceived weaknesses, according to the IFP, of the current government, which is obviously what other opposition parties are doing. The issue of corruption came up there, the issue of cadre deployment and all the other issues that he mentioned. And then 3, it sought to present an alternative. Personally, looking at the last part, I'm not so sure how forceful it has been, because there were other things that I was expecting which didn't come out. For instance, the issue of political tolerance. I would have wanted him to emphasize that, because that is a region that is where violence is normally known to erupt, but unfortunately he didn't touch on that. He did refer briefly in the Zulu version to Kamagwaza Msibi, that it is his own child, as he put it, but I would have expected it to have come out much more forcefully.
Because the NFP is definitely a threat for the IFP in that
Absolutely.
province. They might even lose it to the NFP for that matter.
Absolutely.
Do you possibly see a possible coalition with the NFP to help the ailing IFP?
With the current tensions existing between the two parties, I don't foresee that kind of coalition. But politics is the art of the possible. Anything is possible in the run-up to an election.
Kalebocha Mapunga, thank you so much for your time and joining us here in studio.
Thank you.
And that's all we have for you for today. We hope you have yourself a wonderful Sunday ahead. Bye for now.
Get your business online with a T-Biz starter package from Telkom Business. Get up to 2 megabits per second ADSL with 5 gigs soft cap internet data and 5 gigs promo data. Free domain registration, free 1 gig storage with email accounts, and free night surfer data and social media data. All for just 249 Rand per month. Call, click, go to a Telkom store.